Fragmentation.
Okay. If you don't remember anything else tonight, and please take pictures, take notes. I would prefer you take pictures because you may not have ever heard of this, and you need to process this. I have found this information transformational, and people I've shared with this have said the same thing. That's a big word, fragmentation. The opposite of fragmentation is called integration. Integration is when my left brain, my linear thinking brain, and my right brain, my emotional brain, when they're firing together. We used to think that the brain and the mind were synonymous. We know that is not the case now. The brain houses the mind. Did you get that? The brain houses the mind. So there are some functions of the mind that takes place within the brain. And this is the beauty of fragmentation. Now let me start by telling you a story. I don't know what the next slide is. I don't remember. Okay. So, your brain records memory in several places, but I only want to highlight 5 right tonight. Your thoughts about the experience you had, the physical sensation you have related to the feelings, the bodily inclination you have, the visual image you had during those experiences. Your body records that in different parts of your brain, okay? Little boy in the park, 7-year-old, 5, 6, 7-year-old, he sees a dog, and the dog is running toward him. He has a thought about that dog running toward him. Oh, this dog is running toward me. I don't know if this is friend or foe. He now has physical sensations, i.e., I feel afraid. He feels it someplace in his body. It may be his chest, it may be his stomach, it may be his head, it may be his shoulders. He feels it someplace in his body. The bodily inclinations, what does that mean? He wants to run, but he can't. Because we have 4 inclinations. We want to fight. You've heard that, the fight, flight, freeze. And we also know now there's a 4th one called fawning, F-A-W-N. But he has a body sensation. I want to run, but he may be frozen. He may want to duck under the swing set, but he's frozen. He can't do anything. That's one sense. The visual sensation, he sees the dog. All of those aspects of this experience is registering and stored in different parts of his brain. You tracking with me? Okay. His mother, who is in the park with him at the same time, happens to see the dog, and she runs over, and before the dog gets the kid, she intervenes, and she could have a couple of responses. One could be, you are so hard-headed. I told you to stay with me, and you left my side. That could be one response. The healthy response is, now remember, these memories are stored in different parts of the brain. This experience is registering. The healthy part is mom saying, oh, baby, I saw that dog coming toward you, and then allows that child to talk about the experience. And as the child has an opportunity to talk about the experience, to process the experience, the child now gathers up, if I could say it that way, gathers up these fragments and now has them tied together in a coherent story. You tracking with me? And so he now can, and mommy can say, you know, I saw that, and tell me how you felt. And the kid can just talk and, you know, maybe crying and, you know, just tell the story. And all of that is gathered up. And so now he can recall the playground experience and say, yes, I was in the playground and that dog came and he scared me to death and I didn't know what to do, and I'm so glad my mama was there. And so, but he's got a coherent, conscious memory of that story. Mama's first response is, if mama's first response is, you hard-headed, you know, you left my side, she scolds this child, she does not give the child an opportunity to tell the story, those memories remain fragmented. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Everything. Now, fast forward, this child goes to school or he grows up. Let's say the child grows up. The pastor was a few minutes late picking us up today because he says traffic is bad between 3 and 6, right? And so, you know, apologetic, hey, you know, it's bad. But can you imagine him driving and somebody, he cuts off somebody, he cuts in front of somebody. And that person gives him the finger and perhaps follows him to the hotel and is ready to get out the car. And in America, this can really happen. Get out the car and shoot somebody, right? Or, you know, he is just beside himself because he got cut off by the pastor hurrying to get to pick us up. That is an example of a fragmented memory that has nothing to do with the car that just cut him off, and everything with a memory that has been triggered. This was a past experience that got triggered in the present by some innocuous thing like somebody cutting you off in the car, and you lose your mind. Or your child does something. I describe it as I have this poof. All of a sudden I'm going along, and then all of a sudden I just have this poof. I just lose my mind. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I know I'm not alone, right? And this present day experience has little or nothing to do with the present and more to do with something that happened in the past that I have not had a story in which to hang this experience. People have panic attacks. They have rushes of anxiety. Those are fragmented memories that got triggered for no reason. Anybody ever wake up and you just feel sad and you don't even know why you feel sad? I have. I don't even know why I'm sad.
You know, and even the dog story, honey, if that child has not processed their pain around that, the fear about the dog, as an adult, some dog might come and those, what we call implicit memories, come back to the surface. Those past memories that haven't been processed, they come back and you respond today as if it were the past. You bring the past right into the present. The past is still alive in your present. Whether it's the dog or you wonder why you react to your spouses the way you did because of something that happened perhaps that was unprocessed in your childhood.
Let me give you another example, just in case you can't relate to the thing about cars, because maybe you don't have that problem. How many of you all have stood in the refrigerator and don't have a clue about why you're standing there? You're not hungry? You're just standing there and you want to eat. You have no idea why you want to eat. You're laughing because you got that, right? Okay. Or have you been I just saw a friend on Facebook, her husband went to the hospital, and she was online wanting to buy a $160 pair of shoes. And it's like, what am I doing trying to buy a $160 pair of shoes? I don't need any shoes. She's retired. What am I looking for shoes for? Well, she's processing. She's anxious, and what she knows to do is to shop. So let me tell you what we'll do. Now, this is where this is relevant. What we'll do is we'll pray, Lord, please help me not to overeat. Lord, please help me not to lose my temper with my children. Or please help me not to be angry with my husband. I don't even know why I got that angry. Please help me not to get that angry. And God is saying, I want you to get your story. I want you to look at your story. I want you to understand and integrate your story. And when you integrate your story, when you have a story to hang these fragments on, and you now have an explicit memory, then those fragments are no longer driving you. This has everything to do even with our spiritual life. I don't care how great your childhood was. Your mama might have been ready trying to get out the door to get to work, and you were slow, and you were playing with your Legos, and you didn't move fast enough, and she snapped at you, or she looked at you with a dirty look, and you were afraid, and you got that sense of feeling in your chest, and you don't even know, and nobody processed that with you. It's hanging out there until you can grab it and put it together. Let me put some flesh on this. I'm married to David. We've been married, 2 or 3 years at this point, and well, maybe longer, 4 or 5 years at this point. It was my daddy's idea to move, and then he would be gone. My dad was a gambler, and he would be gone. He was like, hey, let's move, or I understand that we were being evicted, but he was never home when we had to pack up, and he was never home to load one box anywhere, and he was never home to unpack. And he would walk in the door and ask this question: why are those boxes still here? Why haven't you unpacked? Now, I'm a little girl, and I remember thinking, well, if you would help, then that wouldn't be a problem. But could I say that to my dad? Absolutely not. fast forward to being married 4 or 5 years. David grew up on a farm, and David's one of 15, and the boys are outside. They're, doing everything outside. The girls are helping outside as well, but we're getting ready for Sabbath. My yard, to this day, I always had a beautiful outside. My house is always very, very nice on the outside. And we lived in the woods, and David had to do a lot of cutting and making the place beautiful. But every Friday before sunset, an hour before sunset, he would come in the house and say, "You're not ready for Sabbath. Why are you not ready for Sabbath?" And I was in the house with a baby, really working my tail off inside, cleaning up. And every Friday, we would have a fight. And he would say, "Well, honey, I'm just asking a question. You need my help." There were no questions to be asked here, no answers to be given. I would just go off. "I can't believe you would do this. You come in here. I've been working. You haven't done a thing all day. And what are you talking about? I'm outside. I'm getting wood so we can burn for the winter. What are you talking? And look outside. I cut the grass, and we had a huge lawn, and he was doing a push mower." I didn't care about any of that. None of that was relevant. Why? Because my fragmented memory, I had no idea that this was not present day stuff, but my past was being triggered by this. Someone said, "You guys fight every Friday?" "We do?" "Yeah, you fight every Friday." And then as we got to talking about it, I realized that's when he comes in the house asking that question, it's reminiscent of my daddy. And when I got that understanding, when I could explicitly tie my response or my reaction to a memory, boom, it's diminished. It took a minute, but it's now, okay, you're working just as hard as I am. But, it was rough and tumble there for a while. That happens all the time. Is that registering?
Yes.
Is it making sense?
Yes.
And so we pray, "Lord, please help me. I don't want to fight David today. I'm not going to fight David this Friday." He come in with that question, I'm gone.